without scapegoating migrants. We fight for a South Africa where justice is blind to nationality.
Australia has become the latest country to announce that it will recognize Palestinian statehood at the UN General Assembly next month. The Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, says there's no future for Hamas in the Palestinian state. Albanese also says the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza and Israel's expansion of illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank have prompted the decision.
The situation in Gaza has gone beyond the world's worst fears. Far too many innocent lives have been lost. The Israeli government continues to defy international law and deny sufficient aid, food and water to desperate people, including children. This vital aid must be allowed to get to the people who need it most.
Recapping the top story, a 24-year-old man accused of raping and killing a 6-year-old girl is expected to plead guilty in the High Court in Johannesburg on Friday. Pete Shimayo, a Mozambique national, appeared in court this morning. I'm on Dilambana First FM News headlines at 1:30.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
From the shows that bring us laughter to the moments that inspire us, your SABC TV license makes it all possible. Every license paid supports local stories, top talent, and the programs that unite South Africa. Pay your TV license today. Visit tvlic.co.za or your nearest retail outlet. Hashtag your screen, your story. Together, we make it happen.
FlySafe's Business Booster is back to help elevate and celebrate small local businesses. Enter now at flysafe.co.za. Tell us about your business and you could be one of 6 standout enterprises to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across FlySafe's various platforms. Whether you're making, creating or innovating, we're here to help your business not just take off but skyrocket. FlySafe, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I wanna be there when the people start to turn it around. When they triumph over poverty, I wanna be there when the people win the battle against AIDS. I wanna lend a hand, I wanna be there for the alcoholic. I wanna be there for the drug addict. I wanna be there for the victims of violence and abuse. I wanna lend a hand, send to Mommy Nas, to Mommy Nas, to Mommy Nas, to Mommy Nas,
And that is how we open up the show today, taking it back to hashtag Sona 2019, when President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his address to South Africa, cited the song Send Me to Mamina by Hugh Masekela. And as Tinyego Malulega on Daily Maverick writes, he was not only honoring the musician, but also evoking the lyrics of an immensely popular traditional church chorus, which highlights themes of self-sacrifice, individual responsibility, and the importance of personal change in mindsets. And we open up with this song today on a very deliberate note, because so obviously we've been carrying the conversation from various angles since the morning today around the national dialogue that is set to happen in the country, and sparking all kinds of controversial concerns, all kinds of inputs from South Africans. We've been seeing, of course, even from the organizers of the national dialogue, a lot of the organizations that were going to be a part of the dialogue, a lot of the foundations that were going to be a part of the dialogue having pulled out of that situation. And then we thought that, we just gauge from you in this first half an hour of the show, what is your most urgent item to be addressed in the national dialogue? If we were to create, you and I, here today, if we were to create a top 10s list from issues that we feel, pressing issues that we feel need to be addressed as part of the national dialogue, what would that entail? Because part of the criticism that has been leveled against President Cyril Ramaphosa and those that are driving the national dialogue is that, is it necessary? Is it necessary for us to convene this dialogue that's going to cost us what's rumored in the hundreds of millions of rands, when we as South Africans, you and I, sitting where you are sitting right now, listening to each other in conversation, already know what our issues are. We already know what are the pressing issues of the day. We already know what are the things that are causing each and every one of us to have sleepless nights in our homes. If you are fortunate enough to actually have a home, which a lot of South Africans are not. We already know what are the issues that are causing us stress, what are the issues that are causing us worry about our present day, about our future. So do we need to convene a dialogue to discuss that, or do we just need actions, right? And some people in the press this morning with the National Dialogue Steering Organizing Committee, some journalists and observers in the room asking some tough questions, saying, well, Operation Dudula and March to March have already opened up a dialogue around the scarcity of resource and the impact of illegal immigration on resources. Some saying, well, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, has already opened up a dialogue just this past weekend on whether or not ministers should be held to account for their past utterances. Some saying, well, Mkwanazi had a dialogue. He's opened up a dialogue, speaking around, corruption and criminality in the country and who is to account and how are they to account. So what dialogue do we need to have that's going to cost us 700 million rand when we as South Africans have been having a dialogue? It speaks to whether or not what is actually going to be on the cards, what is going to be the theme, what is going to be the tone, what is going to be the mood of these national dialogues as they get unpacked and unrolled countrywide. And so we thought we'd throw it to you and we'd use this time together for you to share with us what are your most urgent issues that should be part of this dialogue, or you feel that are already being dialogued. We are already talking about them. You just want to see resolution. You just want to see resolution. Someone said, one of my producers, in fact, said, well, we already have a top 10 list of issues as a country that we can hand over. And on the list is stopping corruption and leaders arresting themselves. So do you think that should be part of the dialogue? We'd love to hear from you. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line, and 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on today. Your top 10, your number one pressing issue that you feel must be on this dialogue and there must be a resolution. and maybe you even have a timeline as to when this resolution should be. Would love to hear from you today. 086 000 2032. That's the number that you can call us on in studio, and 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, you're more than welcome to do so. I'll let you know what else is coming up on the show on the other side of this.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the art and heart of jazz. From the 26th, 27th, and 28th of September, Umu Sankare, Ababemu, Jasmia Horn, Silent Law and the Noisemakers, Najbonk Trio, Michelle Ndingio-Cello, Valencini, Gabby Mutuba, and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
It is time to experience spectacular football talent from 19 African nations. East Africa is on full vibration. From Tanzania, Kenya to Uganda, the pitch personnel are hungry for continental glory. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Witness Chan 2024 on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 from 2 to 30 August 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Fly Safe's Business Booster is back to help elevate and celebrate small local businesses. Enter now at flysafe.co.za. Tell us about your business, and you could be one of 6 standout enterprises to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across Fly Safe's various platforms. Whether you're making, creating, or innovating, we're here to help your business not just take off but skyrocket. Fly Safe, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
And that is where we kick off for the show this afternoon. It's just gone 20 past 1 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM. We are live on the stream as well this afternoon. You can find us on our social media platforms at SAFM, on Twitter, X, as well as Facebook. If you'd like to live stream the shows, you're more than welcome to do so. We asked the question, Uti, if you had to put forward the most pressing issue in as far as this national dialogue is concerned, what would that be for you? Because I feel as though if you log on to any social media platform, if you stand on any street corner in South Africa, on any water cooler, in any office building, South Africans have been dialoguing for the longest time. South Africans have a clear idea of the issues that affect them, and some of them even present solutions to those issues. We might not agree on what those solutions are. We might not agree how to go about them, but people have taken matters into their own hands in many circumstances. So as we prepare to be part of and be invited to, and we still don't have clarity, by the way, of how we will be invited to these dialogues. I heard from the presser with the organizing committee this morning that they said to be over 18,000 dialogues nationwide going into every ward. But how are South Africans going to be invited? How are South Africans going to participate? That still has not really clearly been communicated to us. So what's your issue? What is the one pressing issue for you that you feel needs to be on the dialogue and that there need to be a resolution to? Would love to hear from you. Our lines are open on 086 000 2032. We've got Asanda Gausheng, who is a Asanda, who is a diversity expert, political analyst, and academic, joining us to help us weave through this conversation. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good morning or good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's
Ngwasheng. Thank you so much for the time this afternoon, Asanda. Let's talk about this dialogue. It's been on the lips of many South Africans for a very long time now, but it seems like we still, or maybe I'm just the one that's been living under a bubble, but we seem like we're still unclear on how we are being asked to participate in this dialogue.
Yeah, I think it's been very interesting to see how this idea of a dialogue has evolved over time. You'll remember that there was a conversation that happened, I think, at UWC at some point, which was about building a national dialogue, and then there was the announcement of the various people who were supposed to be participating, and now you've got the convention, not allegedly, but apparently going through, despite the various foundations who have raised concerns. So I think that, what I'm reading from what I'm seeing, both from the statement from the foundations and the statement from the presidency, is that there seems to be a lack of clarity or a lack of understanding from the different groups of what it is that this dialogue is supposed to do. And I think that may be at the heart of why we're seeing the conflict that we're seeing. So it sounds to me like government thinks that it should be having a discussion with South Africans about issues that are affecting South Africans, how to solve them, how to engage them, which is a good thing. But it sounds to me like the foundations and some other members of South Africa think that this is a potential to have not just a dialogue for the sake of dialoguing, but to actually have a codessa of some kind. It's been 30 years since the fall of apartheid, and what that means is that while the legacy of apartheid continues, and while we continue to deal with the after effects of apartheid, and we continue to deal with its violence and all the complications that come with being a post-conflict country, we also have not had a conversation that says, it's been 30 years since apartheid. What kind of country do we want to see now? What are the new issues that are raising up, and how has South Africa changed in the 30 years that we've had? And what are the implications for how we think about the ways we want to go forward and the kind of complex issues that have come up? So you rightfully point out that South Africa is a signatory to various acts and policies around migration, around refugees, around asylum seekers. And South Africans, through Dudula, through March for March, and various other organizations, by the way, have rightfully started conversations around what they think should happen with resources and how migrants, documented and undocumented, should be or should not be able to access the resources that South Africa have paid for by taxpayers. And I think that, when it comes to particularly that kind of conversation, we are unable as a country to deal with nuance. So on the one hand, South Africa does have xenophobic sentiment, and it does need to be dealt with, and it does need to be engaged with. And there's various reasons why South Africa has xenophobic sentiment, particularly Afrophobic sentiment, considering that we are isolated from the rest of the continent for the duration of apartheid. On the other hand, though, you have a system in South Africa wherein white businesses in South Africa in general are hiring people who are undocumented and do not have a right to work in South Africa in order to be able to defy the very labor laws that South Africa has put in place, in order to undo the wins that South Africa has gained in terms of labor laws, in terms of union representation. And so there's an undoing of the negotiated settlement that included paying workers a fair wage, that included workers having rights. If somebody is undocumented, it is impossible to get the access that they need to have to their labor rights. And so we're hearing stories of exploitation of these very migrants, wherein people are working the whole month or working the season for farmers, and then when it's time for them to get paid, the farmers simply call immigration.
Yeah.
And so this is a lose-lose situation from the perspective of South Africans who suddenly find themselves without access to jobs in various sectors, which are overwhelmingly staffed by mainly, not only, but mainly undocumented migrants, because the owners of capital in these particular sectors, and I'll name the restaurants, and I'll name the farmers, and I'll name there's various other industries that we can talk about that do this practice. And so the issue, for example, and what a dialogue would be able to bring up, is that the issue right now is that poor South Africans are fighting with poor migrants who are barely able to make a living, who are running away often from violence, instead of dealing with the source. The source is those white South Africans, because mostly white people in this country own the economy, who hire people who have no right to work in the country and then turn around and use our very system of home affairs to abuse those people and to chase them away so that they continue to get money and who continue to be able to subvert all the gains made in labor. So this is critical.
We have to hold your thought there for a second. Unfortunately, we have to go into the headline news. But hold your thought there for a second, and we'll come back and we'll continue unpacking the national dialogue. 086 000 2032 is our in-studio line, and 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, DA leader Justin Hazen has taken a swipe at the upcoming national dialogue, describing it as an insider stitch-up designed for the ANC to revive its electoral fortunes. A 24-year-old man accused of raping and killing a 6-year-old girl is expected to plead guilty in the High Court in Johannesburg on Friday. Petesh Mayo, a Mozambique national, appeared in court this morning. And Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Minister Dr. Dion George has reaffirmed South Africa's strong support for urgent and coordinated international action to end plastic pollution. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Hi, Peter. It's Tembiso from Mpumalanga. The item that I will add on the national dialogue is the retention of the death penalty. You kill, you be killed. To reduce the high rate of murder that we have in South Africa, death penalty will be the solution of everything.
Good day, ma'am. This dialogue is just a waste of money. I mean, the president must just go back to the previous State of the Nation's address, even by previous presidents. All those empty promises is gathered dust there. Nothing has come of it. So we don't need another talk. We need action, action, action. I mean, just go to the guys that is protesting. They know why these guys protesting. They know why the communities are protesting. Why do we need another dialogue? No, it is ludicrous. Okay, thank you, bye.
Bridget, good morning. The president is completely out of touch. I was just listening now to Sakina's show, and he's urging the women to participate in this dialogue because of it's Women's Month. What happened to was it a convention or a summit or women's dialogue that happened, I think 4 or 3 years ago, I can't remember. What happened to that? This man, and I'm sorry to say this because it is so upsetting, Bridget. South Africa is faced with illegal immigration crisis. It's not even supposed to be discuss or have conversations about that crisis because it's been there for many years. And since he's been in that office, what has he done? This is really upsetting. It's a waste of money. Parliament should pass a bill that addresses illegal immigration because that's a huge crisis and corruption.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Bridget Mataboche. Bridget, one is that let me deal with the issue of whether the dialogue should take place or not. It is overdue. We've been waiting for a process like this one. From day one, since 1994, there has been a talk about a national dialogue, and it has never taken place. And South Africans forget easily that something of this sort was in the cards or on the cards. And the second issue is that the most critical issue that I would like the members of the dialogue committee or groupings should deal with is the issue of reducing the number of political parties in this country. Those political parties don't come cheap because the state has to finance them. That is critical, Bridget. Thank you.
Afternoon, SAFM. Number one, all subjects to be translated into our vernacular so that our children can answer question papers of their choice if they like to answer in Sotho or Afrikaans. Crime. And again, train our kids to be artisans, to reduce the number of jobs that are not created by the government. Crime. Criminals are treated with kitty gloves. Rural areas, bridges, roads, water. Accountability, planning, good administration, fight corruption. No more parties now. Borders, accountability to borders. Regardless of color or creed or gender, if somebody is putting facts on the table, let us use those good facts, not just look, oh, he's a white, he's an Indian, he's a black. Thank you, SAFM.
All right. Our lines remain open on 086 000 2032. That's our phone line, or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. As we have this conversation with Asanda, who's a diversity expert and a political analyst. And Asanda, you can hear there that our listeners are really putting matters on the table that I think a lot of South Africans resonate with, whether we are talking around taking action and accountability, illegal immigration, which you've touched on, and how some of these issues have, a broader, more systemic framing than just what meets the eye. Crime, infrastructure, corruption, reducing the number of political parties, and of course issues around languaging and identity. I think it all speaks to the fact that these are themes we've been talking about. For the last 30 years as South Africans, we've been talking about these themes. So what needs to happen? What needs to be the outcomes of this dialogue? And also, will South Africans be allowed to put the agenda on the table and really be heard once and for all by our leaders as to this is the sentiment on the ground and this is what we'd like to be done? What are you going to do?
I mean, I think I wanna start here. So, should we have a national dialogue? Yes, definitely. I think we need a national dialogue. Should it cost as much as it's purported to cost? No, I don't think it should cost as much as people are saying it's going to cost. The reason why we need a national dialogue is because, as I've explained, we need a kind of Codesa-style conversation about what kind of country we want to be 30 years after apartheid. And it has to have a new lens and frame that isn't looking back at apartheid, but acknowledges the legacy of apartheid in our current and present state. Now, one of the critical things that we're going to have to discuss at this dialogue, for example, is the issue of BE, whether you're talking BE individual or you're talking triple BE, and the issue of the ESG funds that have largely sat in companies' balance sheets and have been used for what's known as milk and cookies instead of real transformation in this here country. And unfortunately, while we dilly-dally as it were, organizations, political parties like the DA are already having the dialogue and are already pushing for the things that they want. And so they are very clear on what they want around BE, to happen around BE. They've had a press statement, a press conference even today to that fact. And so if we don't convene this national dialogue, and if we don't ensure that it has a diversity of voices and opinions, we run the risk of those in parliament pushing forward and going ahead with what they think should happen. And what that means in a GNU situation is that if the DA can convince the ANC that BE should be dropped, we might find ourselves with a dropped BE. Whereas I think that while there's a conversation to be had about BE and how it's been propagated and used and abused, that also doesn't mean that we must now suddenly drop affirmative action and black economic empowerment because politicians have abused it, but rather that we should look at what has been done, where it has succeeded, and how we can change and shift it to ensure that abuse of power is minimized, or when it is, when the abuse of power is identified, that there is accountability, because you cannot take a country with people that needed a law to tell them to treat people fairly and think that because it's 30 years after apartheid, they will not need that law and will voluntarily hire black people or include black people in their companies. But at the same time, though, we need to have a conversation about what makes sense, because one of the issues that we think, for example, with BE, is that there is this idea that, those black people who have degrees or who have consultancies or who have made some kind of success are not seen as viable BEE candidates. What do I mean by this? If you have built your life and made a success, when you become a BEE beneficiary, people don't understand you as a, how do I put it, as a legitimate beneficiary, right? Because they feel that if you've been able to succeed in this economy and system, then you don't need a further leg up. But they don't understand that, in order for black people to ascend to all of the levels of the economy, we do still need support, because our ancestors, even if you are a billionaire right now, you had ancestors who were subjugated, and your billionaire, competitor who is white did not have that history. And so you do need support. How that support will come and when it will come and who should pay for it and all of that, those are finer details that we need to look into. We need to look into, for example, the role of banks in this BE deal. For years, banks have been doing all kinds of weird and interesting things with BE shares. Those are the conversations. And so we need these conversations. They are critical. And after the dialogue, then we can start to develop policy post-apartheid, true post-apartheid, post 30 years of democracy.
Unfortunately, we have to leave it there. How quickly time flies, but I think, you've given us an incredible broad overview of how all these issues tie back into each other. That was political analyst and diversity expert Asanda Ngwasheng joining us. The lines are still open. We still see all of your WhatsApps, so we're going to double back to them later on in the show. For now, though, we just have to cap it here. It's just gone 22 o'clock. We will come back on the other side of this. I'll give you the top 8 so far, and then we'll get into our next conversation.
Channel your inner warrior woman this August on Expresso as we celebrate and empower women across South Africa. From trailblazing heroines to inspiring entrepreneurs, we spotlight stories of strength, resilience, and change. Join us for powerful panel chats, wisdom, wellness, and bold conversations on equality, GBV, and women's rights. This Women's Month, rise with the women leading our nation forward. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. only on S3.
West Africans Niger are hunting for nothing but 3 points, while Bafana Bafana are pumped to achieve a win. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Niger confronts South Africa on Friday, 15 August at 7 p.m. Live at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM celebrates its 89th birthday this month by giving listeners an exclusive opportunity to attend the prestigious Joy of Jazz taking place at the Sandton Convention Centre from the 26th to the 28th of September 2025. To stand a chance to win these sought-after tickets, simply SMS SAFM 89 followed by your name to 41391. And stay tuned to SAFM as we could be calling you. SAFM is the official media partner for the Dipala stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Entries open from the 7th of August and close on the 31st of August 2025. Winners will be randomly selected and called from the 1st of September 2025. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. T's and C's apply.
WhatsApp voice notes 0614 104 107.
I think the national dialogue is just a waste of afternoon, Bridget. I think the national dialogue is just a waste of money. They should just listen to radio and hear people's outcries there because we are always on conversation. They are not paying attention. Even those people are going to attend there. The social injustices does not affect them. It affects those people who are not included in the dialogue. So it's useless.
Good day, this is Clive. I think one of the most pressing issues that should be addressed in this dialogue, is, things like, unemployment, particularly amongst the youth, So what will be done to address that? What are the measures, and also how, the economy can be improved. We are always crying of, the high standard of living and whatnot, and how the economy is bad. So what will actually be done to address that and to turn the fortunes of our economy around?
Hi, Bridget. This is Duma from Joburg. I think the dialogue that the president needs to look at is to go back to during the election campaign that he had. People were raising their concerns. Every citizen that he was in touch with at the time, because you know what they do when there's elections, they always come down to the level of the community. So people told him everything that they needed to say. There was one lady that was asking for a job from him, and he said to that lady, keep looking. Those are the things that people need. So that's what he needs to do. Just go back, play the videos of your election campaign, and that's it. You see? And also, if you need more, all the SAPC news stations and other media outlets as well, they have the information. They have the cries of the community. You can just play those videos or play those voice, whatever thing it is. No, there's no need for this waste of money. We already know what we want. He already knows what we want. We want everything that he doesn't do. That's all that we want. Everything he is ignoring. That's what we do. That's what we want. You see, we want to live safe in our homes. Thanks, Bridget. Bye.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right. Definitely expressing what is on your mind and what is pressing then. Some recurring themes coming through. And I think a lot of South Africans can speak to the themes around crime, the themes around corruption and accountability, lack of leadership, as well as leaders taking accountability for the crimes that are perpetuated by some of their colleagues. Unemployment always being a very strong one. And I think once we address all these issues, then issues around our relationship with immigrants in the country begin to shift and change a little bit suddenly, because it's all intertwined, right? But it all starts with first and foremost, giving your citizens a sense of security, a sense of safety, and a sense of opportunity. And then the rest follows after that. We are looking at opportunity right now, in fact, and we're looking at unlocking cross-border trade and how the Embassy's Business Fair for 2025 can fast-track Africa's global economic integration. Jade Green is joining us, President of Women in Business and Trade, and Alexander Timitope Aj, who is the Ambassador of the Nigeria High Commission, also joins us. And when most people think of embassies, Ambassador, we just imagine places where we go to get visas and our travel documentation. And maybe if you're in the world of arts and culture, you might even go for a soiree. But embassies are far more than that, right? Embassies can play a far bigger role than that, especially when it comes to tapping into wider business on the continent. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I on now? Good
yes,
afternoon.
you are. You're live.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon to all the members of your crew, and good afternoon to the entire people of South Africa who are hearing me. I mean, this is a good opportunity for me to underscore the fact that, of course, embassies are known for some of these vital documents, but again, it goes beyond that because in terms of facilitating and enhancing the bilateral relations between the two countries, embassy performs a lot of roles. And when it comes to, with particular reference to Nigeria, area you will be looking at in terms of part of the work we do is in the area of business and trade facilitations. This is very key and is one of the primary reasons why we are here in South Africa in order to forge a collaborative partnerships between South African business communities and as well as Nigerian business communities. Knowing that there are so many strengths and leverages both of them can have, when they work together. We specifically in terms of market intelligence and networking, we try to ensure that we create a synergy between South African businesses and Nigerian partners, helping them to navigate some of the regulatory frameworks or bottlenecks that may impede smooth business and investment collaboration between the two countries. We also, as a matter of fact, identify reliable counterparts and access sector-specific information in terms of ensuring that we look at, we identify those counterparts in our country who can also work with South African business community in a kind of symbiotic relationship, building confidences and sharing information as to what they can jointly do together in order to enhance the investment cooperation between the two countries.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we try to do here beyond just mere visa issuance or passport issuance. And specifically in terms of sector-specific information, we give reliable information as to what are the viable sectors that South African businesses can tap into in Nigerian economy beyond the oil and gas that we know the two countries to have done tremendous work. We look at areas, specific areas that we know are thriving in Nigeria right now that we feel that investment opportunity for South Africans are available. So beyond that, those are the things we do, and we also ensure that we promote trade missions between the two countries. In terms of having periodic trade exchanges between the business community, our own Nigerian. In Nigeria, we have what we call the NASIMA, the Nigerian Agricultural Commerce and Investment and Manufacturing Body, which is a kind of unified body for all the businesses working in the area of mining, in the area of manufacturing, in the area of economy, in the area of agriculture. Excuse me. In other specific areas. So we facilitate trade missions between these business bodies in Nigeria with their counterparts in South Africa. And as a matter of fact, right now, we have...
I want to jump in Jade Green, Ambassador, into the conversation. Jade, good afternoon to you as the President of Women in Business and Trade. And the Ambassador has done a great job at just outlining the opportunity and the bridge and connection that the Nigerian High Commission does and facilitates in the country. Let's talk about your work, and you work closely with embassies and the business community. From your experience, just give us an understanding of some of the practicalities that entrepreneurs can take in order to access some of these opportunities that the ambassador have spoken about, whether in Nigeria or other territories on the continent.
Thank you so much for the question, Bridget. Yes, and I definitely think as the president of a women's organization, what I'm mostly finding is that we need to start building those relationships, building the relationships with the embassies, finding out what is it in that specific country that we could then as a business either plug into or use it to upscale our business. The platforms are there for us. We've got the trade officers in each embassy that can help you both strengthen the relationship. I've signed with WIBT, we have signed an MOU with embassies. So we are not competing with them. We are allowing them to plug us into an existing platform that is already there so that my members can take full advantage of what are the opportunities in the different sectors. So very often we look at the 4 top sectors within government, but right now there are 28 sectors in business, and each country has a sector that is flourishing more than the other. So these are really good opportunities for women in business or anyone in business to actually come forward and plug themselves into the space.
So the Embassy's Business Fair and Conference, you're now in the second year of this. Just by way of the elements that have been introduced for both exhibitors and attendees.
Yeah. So this year we definitely expanding both on the scale and the scope. We participating a lot more in the exhibition space, themed networking for each industry. So each industry will have almost a sectorial head, somebody who is an expert in that field to answer those questions. Newly, we are introducing a pitching session. So we are selecting businesses that are export ready, and we're going to pitch their businesses to investors sitting at the table. And then again, with anything, we're looking at strengthening our Amazon partnership and any other platforms into global markets. Last year, we introduced Amazon to the members. We've got some success stories out of there, and they are trading on Amazon. And then just to stay in the loop with everything, it's, following up what's happening in the sectors, getting sneak peeks of who is coming, because they're all basically sector heads or they are gurus in their field in business.
Ambassador, I just want to double back to you, but if we can keep it short and under a minute as we run out of time, how do we continue to foster good, positive cultural and education exchanges between particularly our 2 countries, Nigeria and South Africa, in order for there to be, on the one hand, good relations, but also on the other hand, to enable an environment that is conducive for positive business?
Thank you very much. I think this is another vital area that we, as a mission, are working on. We have worked to create a synergy between the people-to-people in South Africa, South African people as well as Nigerian people, create a kind of understanding on the basis of people-to-people contact. And we identified 3 important areas in terms of cultural festivals and exchanges. We try to create a kind of working relationship between some of our cultural outfits in Nigeria as well as South Africa. In fact, recently, as recent as May this year, there was a premiere of a film by Nigerian artists that was done in Pretoria, under the auspices of the South African Pretoria Arts and Cultural Council. And this brought a lot of Nigerian Nollywood, some of the Nigerian Nollywood artists to South Africa to premiere a film which spoke into the cultural realities of South Africa and Nigeria. Yeah. And we also, on the basis of embassy, have been trying to promote what we call a social cohesion dialogue, whereby we identify some areas where we can speak to in order to enhance understanding between our people as well as the South African people, because we know that both of them are brothers and they need to work together in so many areas.
Ambassador, we have to leave it there for this afternoon, unfortunately. That was the Ambassador of the Nigeria High Commission, Alexander Timitope Ajayi, and of course Jade Green, President of the Women in Business, just walking us through the cross-border trade and embassies business fair 2025 with the aim of fast-tracking Africa's global economic integration. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then that should lead us to the top of the hour. We're coming through with the news, and then we'll come back on the other side of 2.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Thank you, Bridget. On the top stories, Steenhuisen speaks on the upcoming national dialogue and a rape and murder suspect expected to plead guilty. For SAFM News, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good day. DA leader John Steenhuisen has taken a swipe at the upcoming national dialogue, describing it as an inside stitch-up designed for the ANC to revive its electoral fortunes. Steenhuisen was briefing the media at the party's headquarters in Bruma, east of Johannesburg today. The DA was the first party to withdraw from the national dialogue after its Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Andrew Whitfield, was fired by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The Thabo Mbeki Foundation and other legacy foundations of stalwarts have also withdrawn from the national dialogue, citing issues around funding. Steenhuisen says the national dialogue is an illegitimate initiative that lacks all credibility.
And even former President Mbeki, who at the time was incredibly critical of our withdrawal from the GNU, which he expressed in an open letter, has now come to exactly the same conclusion that we came to, that this is an insider stitch-up designed so that the ANC can revive its electoral fortunes, rather than a genuine discussion and action plan about the way forward.
The Protea Magistrates Court in Soweto has granted murder-accused Mandla Buthelezi 20,000 rand bail. This has angered the community of Eldorado Park, who stormed out of the court swearing at the justice system. Buthelezi, a former police officer, is accused of the murder of his Gauteng traffic warden girlfriend. He allegedly shot and killed 22-year-old Gauteng crime warden Jasne Kapler after a domestic dispute on Boxing Day in 2024. Magistrate Dabucho Tupatla delivered the judgment.
I'm satisfied that in the circumstances, there are exceptional circumstances which, in the interest of justice, justify the release of the accused on bail. In the premises, accused is granted bail in the amount of 20,000 rand. Upon payment of the said sum of money, accused will be released from custody.
A 24-year-old man accused of raping and killing a 6-year-old girl is expected to plead guilty in the High Court in Johannesburg on Friday. Petesh Mayo, a Mozambique national, appeared in court this morning. He's facing charges of kidnapping, rape, murder and contravention of the Immigration Act. The accused was arrested in Soweto in October last year after the little girl's body was found in his shack. The accused had abandoned his bail application in previous court appearances. The defense counsel, Bridget Masinga, says Shimayo had decided to plead guilty to avoid wasting the court's time.
My client has decided to plead guilty to all the charges, all counts that is facing. Now we are going to plead guilty. And today we're supposed to proceed with a guilty plea, but unfortunately there is another matter which is proceeding in court. We adjourn this matter until Friday, 15th of August. That is when we are going to read all the charges on record. He decided that he does not want to waste the court's time by doing a long trial. That's why he decided to plead guilty.
Meanwhile, the bereaved family has expressed relief that the accused will plead guilty. Spokesperson Brenda Mjiago says it has not been easy for the child's mother as the deceased was born in this month.
The mother is a little bit happy as the guy has pleaded guilty. We were informed Uguti pleaded guilty. So we will wait until Friday as the case has been postponed until Friday. Sizozwa Uguti, what are the outcomes of the case? It's not easy for the mother because every now and then it's even worse. This year when's 7 years, but she's no more.
The Foundation of Human Rights says he does not think Azanian People's Liberation Army, APLA, executed the massacre at the Highgate Hostel in the Eastern Cape in 1993. The Foundation's Robert Tyrrell, who conducted research on attacks involving APLA, testified in the inquest into the massacre in East London. He says that they had confirmed 80% of APLA's attacks through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and this was not mentioned. APLA was blamed for the massacre. Tyrrell also says that most APLA attacks targeted farms and civilians in moving vehicles using petrol bombs and stones. 5 people were killed and 7 others wounded in the massacre, but no one has been held accountable. Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment Minister Dr. Dion George has reaffirmed South Africa's strong support for urgent and coordinated international action to end plastic pollution. He's leading the country's delegation to the second part of the 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on Plastic Pollution in Geneva, Switzerland. The minister says plastic production has grown rapidly globally from 2 million tons in 1950 to 470 million tons in 2022. Molimoa Onemutwa reports.
Minister Dion George says this session is a critical opportunity to finalize a legally binding global treaty to tackle plastic pollution. George says in response to this action, South Africa has moved to ban the tiny solid plastic particles under 5 millimeters and products containing them. He has indicated that draft regulations have been signed and are set to be published for public comment. Once enacted, the rules will impose a blanket prohibition on these microbeads, with provisions for monitoring, evaluation and strict penalties for non-compliance, including fines of up to 10 million rand or 20 years imprisonment in cases of repeated offences. Mulimo Onemuto, SABC News, Pretoria.
Recapping the top story, Day leader Johnston Hazen has taken a swipe at the upcoming national dialogue, describing it as an inside stitch-up designed for the ANC to revive its electoral fortunes. I'm Mondilambana for SAFM News Headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
They said women belong in the background, but we've always been the backbone. We drive economies. We innovate, care, build, and break barriers. We don't just raise families, we raise nations. But how do we build a thriving nation while violence still silences our voices? Erasing gender-based violence and femicide from our history isn't a dream. It's a decision, a shared one, a necessary one. This Women's Month, let's rise, not just in celebration, but in solidarity, because South Africa is strongest when every woman is safe. This message is brought to you by the GBVF Response Fund and proudly supported by the SABC. Chipolopolo of Zambia is chasing victory. However, the Portuguese-speaking team Angola have a serious mandate to secure 3 points. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Experience Zambia versus Angola the Sunday 10 August at 5 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The SABC is pleased to announce the launch of the new self-registration platform. Vendors wishing to do business with the SABC can self-register on our internally developed platform. Vendors are able to access this platform on our website via www.sabc.co.za under e-tenders or self-register at etenders.sabc.co.za and follow the prompts. Visit SABC social media pages for more details.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
You gonna give to me today, cause you're not feeling good, all about you. And what you gonna give to me today, cause you had a bad day. Well, so did I, so did I, baby. Well, so did I, so did I, baby. Tonight, we're gonna talk about feelings. Tonight, we're gonna talk about all the things that I've always wanted tonight. You're gonna be making up for all the times when I needed you and you were not there. You were not there, yeah.
Zonke coming through. Tonight is the classic jam. We're going to talk about feelings, right? Tonight. Zonke, who still owes me, she still needs to come on the show. We must chat. When I was doing the Friday night show, she was always on show because she's always on show performing. And the time was not right. You know, it's a weird thing when you do radio, anything entertainment-based television radio, because at times you want to talk to, especially if you want to talk to entertainers, you want to talk to them when they've got a project, and they prefer talking to you when they've got a project. Because then, you know, we can catch up and, you know, take stock of what's been happening, but they can also promote what is current in their world. But it's a double-edged sword, especially when you're dealing with musicians per se, because when they have projects, it means that's when they're on the road all the time. And so they can't be here. Especially for Friday things like Friday chillas on the full circle, but we're still trying to get her on the show, and hopefully it seems like she was in studio with Anthony Hamilton the whole of last week, so she's clearly working on something, and then we can hopefully get her in while she's busy in the midst of cooking whatever she's cooking. Right now though, we're going to take a career focus. It is Monday after all. After 2:00, you know that we talk career matters, and today is no different. So we are looking at what will the G20 benefit, or what will the G20 benefits rather be for youth and women entrepreneurs in the country. There's been a lot of G20 conventions already and gatherings that have happened in the country already during the course of the year, and there's still a lot more to come before the big gathering of global leaders at the end of the year. So we just want to unpack to see whether or not there's still opportunities there for South African and African youth by extension to tap into by way of some of the events and conversations that are going to be held. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll get into that conversation.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. These are the weekend shows on SAFM. Music of Africa with Shayla Ndikumana. The Weekend View with Bongiwe Swane. The Jet Set Breakfast with Michelle Constant. Seasons with Khomotso KG Mweketsi. The Soundtrack of Your Life with Ernest Pillay. Weekend Sundowner Classics with Kutlwano Masote. Spotlight with Zai Khan. The Weekend with John Kherika. Shifting Your Lens with Bertha Charuma. This is SAFM. You are listening to The Full Circle.
We are catching up now with Innocentia Mutau, who's an entrepreneur and maritime economist and one of the SA representatives for the G20 Young Entrepreneur Alliance. We're talking around the G20 and the benefits for the youth and women entrepreneurs in the country. How are you doing this afternoon, Innocentia?
I'm doing very well, thanks. And how are you doing?
I'm
Bridget?
great. I'm great. So
Great
good to see you.
Likewise.
Let's talk about, the G20. We've already seen a lot of meetings being held in the country so far this year, but still quite a few more to go before the big convening of the leaders. And big on the agenda has been young people's participation in the G20 so far. What would you assess? Has there been a good track of young people being a part of the conversation and even leading the conversation in issues that pertain to them?
Yeah, so it's quite an exciting period for South Africans. And I mean, I got into the journey when I was young myself. And then I was actually the sitting non-executive board member at NYDA when it was firstly formed. And when the G20 idea got to be ideated by the Canadians in 2010, I was a young person who was hearing those stories, the value that the G20 can add into entrepreneurs and so forth. Now, 15 years later, our president has raised his hand and we are hosting. And it's predominantly to benefit young people. One, from a business point of view as to, how entrepreneurship was the answer to recession that the world has once gone through, and how young people can make countries be recession proof by actually supporting young entrepreneurs. Call to support their businesses, get them to get access to markets, support them financially, and so forth. So G20 is quite key in honing into those points for young people, and specifically, designing deliberate strategy for young people to actually be part of this change.
And very important sort of themes and conversations for young people to be unpacking at the G20. Perhaps walk us through some of those. I mean, one of the things we were saying earlier in the show is what are the pressing concerns for South Africans right now? And obviously for young entrepreneurs, they too have, hot potato conversations that they want to see being held at the G20.
I think the hot potatoes pretty much go along the lines of access to markets, number one, right? So they come up with ideas. Young people are quite vibrant in thinking of world solutions to world problems, but there's no honing and harnessing of those ideas for them. Then the idea passes. There's a business model. There's a business case they present, but who are they going to sell this concept to? It becomes an issue. Thirdly, access to finance. They tend to use self-financing models that are not sustainable. And also on the other side of DFIs, they're not presenting a lot of products available to help different levels of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship at business levels. So we need to communicate more. We need to message products more. We need to celebrate successes and actually unpack that success and highlight what young people need to know, and also just have conversations around making them not to fear too much, to take risks, because risks are what revenue are all about in our respective businesses. So honing into policies that will encourage corporates to talk about those markets. Secondly, making finance accessible. Thirdly, celebrate those successes and unpack how they got to be those successes over time.
It is Women's Month, so we'd be amiss not to also hone in on women and trade amongst women of the G20 countries. How do we push this, and how do we see more impact in as far as this is concerned?
So at our summit, we are very deliberate in honing deeper into women's issues. We have a luncheon on the 16th at Summer Place, 16th of September at Summer Place, where we'll be talking about women in tech, women in finance, women in agriculture, women in creatives and film. Nobody celebrates the creative space, and it's quite an economic activity that we need to invest more in. And there we'll have success stories of women from G20 countries coming to talk about and sharing aspirations, sharing passing stuff forward to other young female that are in the business sector. And we will also have mentors and adults who've seen it, and people who are unicorns, women who are unicorns in the space of several sectors. So we are honing deeper into that. On the conference day on the 19th, we do also have a roundtable about women. We're going to go, socio-economic. We're going to go a business. We're going to go climate change. We're going to go deeper into having conversations of where do we leverage as women in business? What are the DFIs saying? What's the market saying? How is it responding to some stuff that we're doing as women? I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm giving great opportunities in South Africa, by a lot of opportunities. I mean, the shipping industry is a very men-dominated industry, but I'm making strides because somebody's willing to listen to me. Somebody's willing to try my thinking. Somebody's willing to, and I'm also doing my part in getting myself ready, in getting depth of the industries I'm involved in. So we are making waves. We are seeing strides, we are seeing interest, and it's quite deliberate, so we're quite happy.
And in fact, I wanted to touch a little bit, in Essentia, around your personal entrepreneurial journey, and how that's shaped your perspective, and as well your perspective as a woman, as an entrepreneur in South Africa, functioning even on the African continent in a male-dominated industry, but also knowing that you dabble in other things that are outside maritime. How has that sort of shaped you as a woman, and how does that also speak perhaps to some of the conversation that's going to be held at the summit in September?
So my thing has always been, whatever I do, I want to be globally relevant. So I'm doing three things in my business. One, I'm in shipping. I'm a partner at one of the subsidiaries of Mediterranean Shipping Company, which is the largest shipping line in the world. So I'm sitting there with the force of a multinational that met me, loved my charisma. I went to school to study my maritime economics, so I brought my depth in, and I am operating and thriving within the shipping sector. I've got a lifestyle brand, which is the golf apparel. It's E2 Golf Way. And there I started thinking about me becoming an off-take. I'm very entrepreneurial. My DNA is about business. And there I knew I want to end up being a global phenomena, which I am. By the way, we opened a store in New York. We've been to the PGA show in Orlando. We are loved out there. It's about messaging that South African and African pride from an entrepreneurship point of view to the world. Now, and the third one is the G20, where I advocate for export readiness, for markets that we normally won't just get back at home. And I harnessed all of that, and it's working for me. So those are the stories we want to take into the G20 Young Entrepreneur Alliance Summit in September and amplify them because they exist. We are here. On that lunch on Tuesday, we actually have a masterclass, Bridget, and if you're available, come hear the good stories, where women are doing cross-country collaboration and are succeeding in it. And if we don't talk about them and show the young South Africans that are possible, nobody will know about them. And hence the importance of our Alliance Summit in September. So I am an example. I'm doing well in it. It's hard, it's not easy, but I've got a will and the energy to make it work.
By way of funding, which is oftentimes an issue for entrepreneurs, youth, women accessing funds, like for instance transformation funds. What are some of the shifts that need to happen there? And we're talking more policy shifts, or we're talking more awareness and conscientizing?
Those shifts, for me, I think we need to point down onto the barriers of accessibility of those funds, right? I'm seeing a lot of meetings and workshops being held, especially about this transformation fund, because I think it's a right step in the right direction. We need to unpack it to a point where it talks to a lot of us in different levels of our businesses. I mean, I'm seasoned in terms of where I am in my business. I'm 7 to 8 years old in this one small business, but I've been an entrepreneur for more than 16 years. So I know what to target, what to look for. But some entrepreneurs don't know where to start. So that fund or the policy needs to talk about opening it up as easy as possible for those that are in for the first time and wanting to emerge. So it's all about the communication. It's all about simplifying that narrative of saying it is available. It is for you as well as a spaza shop or a wholesale a shop in Soweto or Mamelodi. So we need to get it to talk to our needs directly without really, specifically becoming barriers of entry or just wanting a lot of administratively demanding and the red tapes around that, because then that's tempering the accessibility of that fund. So let's continue unpacking it. Let's continue helping the government to better shape it that it's accessible and we can touch what the fund can use. Access to finance is a problem.
Absolutely.
And it's something we always just cannot not talk about as we get this gathering going.
Absolutely. And I think the tandem to that is something that you touch on a little bit there is the barriers to entry, right? How do we begin to sort of shatter that or even begin to take away the administrative red tape for young Africans that want to do business with each other, especially cross-country collaboration?
Yeah. So I think that one really takes a will for I mean, we both have to play a part. We can't be always blaming government and their cumbersome systems. We as entrepreneurs need to also know what we want to do. Your business plan must be so succinct. Your business model must be so succinct that it talks to the world problems. It talks about solution creation and ideate to a point where money just follows you, right? Number one. Number two, money sometimes does follow us very quickly, but we tend to take time to test it. Then you take time to fail. While you must fail very quickly, fail as quick as possible, but must fail forward. So we need to introspect all the time on a lot of financial solutions and products that are available out there, given to entrepreneurs on ideas that, they never even took off from the word go. So it's also our part to play that we make sure our models are very bankable and tested somewhere else. Number two, it's then coming to the government access and corporates who say, let's kill the barriers to entry. Let's educate you about our fund, what it means, how can it be, uptaken by your ideas and so forth. There's not much education given to taking up a lot of financial support other DFIs have or corporates have. During this journey, actually, Bridget, it got very interesting for me that the ESD budgets are actually vibrant. Enterprise supplier development funds, they are so vibrant, they are there. But is it communicated sufficiently? No, because, corporates do different streams of business. Mining companies focus on mining suppliers, energy people focus on energy infrastructure and so forth. So we just have to find a way of just harnessing and communicating this better because it is accessible. The funds are actually there to help SMME thrive, not even within those particular sectors, but in expanding themselves to actually do global business with other global markets out there. Absolutely. So it's the communication for me and the play and the celebration of that success that needs to be shared more.
Absolutely. Innocentia, we'll leave it there for this afternoon. I appreciate the time with you. That was Innocentia Mutau, entrepreneur and maritime economist, and of course representing the G20 Young Entrepreneur Alliance. Such a pleasure to see you. We're going to get into the headline news now on the Full Circle with Onde Lambana, and then we'll come back on the other side with our kids programming.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, there will be a thorough accounting of monies spent in hosting the National Convention in Pretoria this weekend. This is the assurance given by the director of NEDLEC, Makuku Mampuru. DA leader Johnston Hazen has taken a swipe at the upcoming national dialogue, describing it as an inside stitch-up designed for the ANC to revive its electoral fortunes. And Al Jazeera has condemned Israel for what it called the targeted assassination of its journalists in Gaza, calling it a desperate attempt to silence the voices exposing the impending occupation of the territory. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Just so that we're clear, are you saying that every single JMPD officer has a 7,000 Rand a day target, or is it 7,000 as a collective? I mean, what is it?
JMPD officials are separated into operational staff members and administrative staff members. Obviously, the admin staff sit in offices, they do admin work, and the operational members, they go out and they conduct operational duties. I personally engaged with an operational staff member of the JMPD and was informed that each one of them has a target to collect of 7,000 Rand, as we've mentioned earlier, during the day shift. So this is the traffic fine target that must collect.
Michael Son, the DA member of the provincial legislature.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello friends and happy Monday. Welcome to our Monday edition of Kids Corner. I hope you're having a great day. Today let's talk about forgetting things. What's one thing you often forget to do even though you know it's important? Why do you think it's so easy to forget that thing? How do you feel when someone reminds you? Or do you feel excited that you're being helped? What could help you remember to do it more often? Maybe a chat, an alarm, or a sticky note somewhere you'll see it? And what about the opposite? What's one thing you always remember to do no matter what? What helps you remember that one? All right, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with someone next to you.
Hi, my name is Bugaram Pepu and I am 8 years old. The one thing that I often forget to do is to polish my school shoes. I easily forget because I love playing a lot. It always helps when someone reminds me, like my mom always do. I think I must do an alarm to remind me to polish my shoes. The one thing that I never forget to do is my homework. I always remember on my own.
Hello everyone, my name is Mathemba Kosa. I am 6 years old. I go to Jabez Christian Academy School. I always forget to pack up my toys while done playing with them. When someone else reminds me, I get upset. But it helps me to pack up. I think a note would help me to remember to pack up. I always remember to read the Bible with my mom before I sleep. I know I have to learn something about God every day.
Good day, my name is Mane Angel Mangwabera. One thing that I often forget to do, even though I know it's important, I think it's one of my chores that I have to do daily. And what makes it easy for me to forget that thing are distractions. Basically, if I'm on my phone a lot or I sleep, then I forget to do it when I wake up. How I do feel when someone reminds me to do it, I actually get annoyed sometimes, but then most times it actually does help for someone to remind me to do something. What could help me remember to do it more often, I think, is to just set an alarm or a note. And there is something that I always remember to do no matter what. And what helps me do that is that I actually write it on a notebook, and then if every time I open it, I then see that I have to do that thing. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Hello friends, my name is Akana Takaran. I am 9 years old and I am in grade 4. The school that I attend is Little English Christian Academy. One thing I usually forget to do is my homework. It's easy to forget because I love to play. When someone reminds me of my homework, I feel fine. I don't feel angry or annoyed because I know whoever is reminding me is helping me. I think that a chart or a timetable will help me remember what to do, like homework or chores. I always remember to do my bed because my mom helps me to remember to do my bed.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Kabamba. One thing I forget to do, even though I know it's important, is drinking enough water during the day. I usually get busy with schoolwork or other things, and before I know it, half of the day has passed without me drinking much. When someone reminds me, I don't get annoyed. I actually appreciate it because they care about my health. I think what could help me remember is setting alarms on my phone, keeping a water bottle in front of me, or even using a chart to track my cups of water. One thing I never forget is brushing my teeth. It's so much part of my morning and evening routine that I feel uncomfortable if I skip it. So it's always the first and last thing I do every day.
Hello, my name is Entlesha Bangu. Something that I forget to do is eating. Eating is very important. I usually not per se forget, but like it slips my mind if I'm doing something and I am logged in and my mind is filled with what I'm doing, then I won't be able, not only be able to, but I won't have the thought come across that it's time to eat, no matter how hungry I am. If someone tells me to eat, I don't get annoyed, only if I know I'm not hungry. If I know I'm not hungry and someone comes up to me and they say, eat, then I get annoyed because I'm not hungry. Something I always remember to do no matter what, come rain or sunshine, is I always remember to pray. And what helps me remember it is once you've fallen into the pattern of praying before going to bed and you don't do it once, your mind also like tells you like there's something you forgot to do, and I usually wake up and I know I have to do it.
Hi friends, my name is Oketwa Munyai. I live in Pulukane City. I usually forget to do the dishes, and it is easy for me to forget because I am always busy with schoolwork or I am playing outside. When somebody reminds me to do the dishes, I get annoyed. Maybe a time chart could help me stay on track. And I never forget to pray because in life, prayer is the way to victory. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 11 years old. One thing I forget to do, even though I know it's important, it's to pray every time when I sleep. I think it's so easy to forget praying before you sleep because sometimes you'll feel very sleepy and don't think about it or don't have time to pray. I feel very happy when someone reminds me to pray at night because that person helped me not to forget praying. What could help me remember to do it more often is to write it down on your diary or your phone or in a notebook. Something that I remember to do no matter what is brushing my teeth. And when an adult pass by, I greet an adult and to be respectful. And another thing I don't forget to do is doing my chores. What helps me remind it because I have a diary where I write all things I need to do. Thank you, everyone.
Hello guys, my name is King David Ikena Jabulani Eze, and I'm 11 years old and I learn in Parktown Public School. Yeah, the one thing I often forget to do, even though I know it's important, is to study. You know, to be honest, I most of the times I ignore studying. I dodge studying, so yeah, that's why I don't remember. The reason, I think it's so easy to forget it is because, as I said, I dodge it. So most of the times I get annoyed when somebody reminds me to do it. But I know it's helpful, but yeah, as I said, most of the times. The thing I could do to make me remember, I don't need a chart, an alarm, or a note. I just need to stop dodging it on purpose. Yes, I dodge it on purpose, even though I'm one of the smartest in my class. Yes, there is something I always remember to do no matter what, and it's to help in the house. I don't forget to help in the house. I do very good at school, plus helping in the home, making me a good child. The only thing I need to be honest about is that, you know what, it's personal, so yeah. And nothing, actually, someone, not a thing. My mom helps me remember to clean the house, so yeah, that's my life, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. Today, let's talk about something that happens to all of us: forgetting things, even the important ones. Sometimes there's that one thing we know we should do, like tidying our room, finishing homework, feeding a pet, or drinking enough water. But somehow it just slips our mind. It's not that we don't care. It's just that life is full of so many other things to think about. And then comes the moment when someone reminds us. How does that make you feel? Sometimes you might get a little annoyed because you already know you should have done it. But other times, you may feel thankful because that gentle reminder helps you get back on track. There are many ways to remember the important things. Maybe it's writing them down on a chat, setting an alarm, leaving a sticky note where you can see it, or even asking a friend or family member to check in with you. Little tools like this can turn an "I forgot" into "Yes, I remembered." But here's the interesting part. We all have at least one thing we never forget to do, no matter what. Maybe it's playing a favorite game, saying goodnight to a loved one, or grabbing a snack after school. We remember these things because they are special to us and bring us joy. The secret is If we can make our easy to forget tasks just a little special by adding fun, routine, or reward, we might remember them more easily. So, friends, let's try to turn our important tasks into things we look forward to. Because remembering isn't just about keeping our lives in order, it's about making sure that things that matter most don't get left behind. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Bafana are confident they can defeat the West Africans. Meanwhile, the national elephants want to step their foot down and walk away with victory. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Be part of the thrilling action. South Africa clashes with Guinea on Monday, 11 August at 4 p.m. Live at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Okay, our last conversation for today, we are looking at women with disabilities, the experience of South African women with disabilities, particularly those that are searching for work. And we're looking at issues around disability inclusion. We're celebrating and honoring women this month, of course. We're paying tribute to trailblazers and entrepreneurs and such. But we can't tell the story without also looking at the story of South African women with disabilities who, on a day-to-day basis, go knocking on doors that perhaps remain closed, and some of the challenges that they face as qualified, skilled women who really just want to be out there contributing to the country's economy and contributing to their own growth and their own prosperity. And joining me on the line now is Lungi Mngwani, who is a graduate looking for work. And Lungi, you are diagnosed with osteogenesis imperfecta, commonly known as brittle bone. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good and soft, Bridget.
I'm great. Thank you so much. I mean, before we get into the conversation, give us some quick background around your diagnoses. When did you find out? What is it exactly, and how does it impact your life?
First and foremost, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. Okay, Lungi is a woman who is 27 years old of age, living with a disability called osteogenesis imperfecta, simply remembered as brittle bones. I was diagnosed with it from birth. And yeah, throughout my 27 years, I had multiple fractures. So I would be admitted every month, basically, in hospital due to a broken bone. So yeah,
Um, so you are a young woman, from Kagiso. You are eligible for gainful employment. You are qualified. You are eager to get out into the job market. What does that picture look like for you when you go out there on a daily basis trying to get yourself employed?
it's very difficult, honestly speaking, because of each and every advert that is being posted that I have the qualification, I will most definitely apply for it. But then when you get there, they do take your CV and they will tell you that you have a very high percentage of being employed. And little do you know, they don't even call you for an interview, or sometimes they do call you for an interview, and then nothing happens. And they, like in most of the time, they would say, no, our building is not accommodated for a person using a wheelchair. And in most cases, they would even make excuses that don't really matter. They would say, how would you get there? But yet, me getting there, it's a baby that I can make a plan over.
Yeah.
So, one thing about me, I don't allow my disability to define me. Whatever goals that I want to achieve, I go for it.
Yeah. And that is a good mindset indeed. I want to rope in Lana Roy, who's with Africa Cocoon, the disability lead here, and just look at the importance of business driving inclusion. How are you doing this afternoon, Lana?
Yeah, I'm well, and yourself, Bridget. Lovely to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
I'm great. I'm great indeed. I mean, we listening to Lungi and her story. Let's talk about the willingness and the readiness for South African businesses to really be inclusive, especially when we're talking around women, people with disabilities who want to be out there and want to be employed.
100%, yeah. They want to go out there. They want to make a difference. They want to help build the economy, and somehow they are not being successful in this. And the question is why? Why aren't they being successful? And it's something I've been asking and wanting to bring to the forefront of conversations like this one that you're having, is why people with disability, and I'm going to refer to both male and female, though we are talking females here, aren't being employed. Is it that companies do not have reasonable accommodation? Is it that they're just ignorant, that they don't actually understand and just need sensitization and awareness training? Is it a language issue that they worry they will say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, and be held liable? Are there not good tax incentives? Are our BBBE laws not good enough? What really is it that is holding people in corporate to not want to employ, or rather they want to employ, but what is it that's preventing them from choosing a person with a disability over someone without a disability? And I guess this is also, where I attended the United Nations Zero Project Conference quite a few years, which is a gathering of all organizations around the world who come together to speak about these problems. And it's there I met this organization called the Valuable 500. And they are all about the empowerment or taking and holding corporate accountable for the hiring and for whether it's reporting, leadership, representation, and holding them accountable, especially the CEOs of these companies, for inclusion of people with disability in the workplace. And that's why I've really tried to bring this to the forefront in South Africa by holding a summit with the Valuable 500 and saying to the CEOs, come, let's talk. Let's not just talk. Well, let's talk and then let's action.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Absolutely.
Let's action this.
And I think when you talk about, actioning, Lana, because we've got the policies at place, right? We've got the documents.
The white papers.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've got that on hand, but what are we lacking by way of actioning? I mean, Lungi says here when she goes out, on interviews, oftentimes the feedback is, well, our building is not equipped, it's not accommodating, but in 2025, that can't be a reason.
No, that cannot be an excuse anymore. Because I know Lungi, she's the most incredible young woman I have met, the most confident. Really, it would be an honor to have her in my employment, to be honest with you. So, reasonable accommodation, look, it is a necessity, and I guess one can be held liable if you do not have the correct in place. But really, all Lungi really needs is to make sure if it is in a building that is not on the first floor, that is accessible via a lift, and that lift has a contingency, that it works even if there's a power breakage or power outage. There has to be an accessible toilet, but most buildings today have accessibility to bathrooms. But these are not huge expenses. Okay, maybe a lift is a huge expense, but really, people have to it's just a sensitization and awareness. And I think 3/4 of people with disability not being hired is just pure ignorance. It's just education. And if people just educated themselves and understood, because if they really wanted to, they would go out of their way, to hire somebody like Lungi. As I said, she's got all the competence. She is extremely, as I said, confident in what she says and what she does. And she should be no different to anyone else other than the accommodation that she needs in order to perform her job.
Yeah.
And truthfully, we all need accommodation, We all, in some form or other, require assistance in some form or respect. So, this has got to stop. This really has to stop. And I think, as I said, pretty much it's education and also, Pina, I don't know, is it the stick or the carrot type of thing? Should companies be penalized for not having enough people with disability, or should they be incentivized for having more people with disability? And we have to take that to government, and I sit on lots of policy dialogues, and we sit and we talk about all of these things. But exactly what you're saying, if we don't action this, then we have people like Lungi now sitting at home having 2 or 3 learnerships. They go around in the circles of learnership.
Yeah.
And where does she go from here?
Absolutely.
Where does she go?
Lungi, I'm interested to know from you as we begin to wrap up the conversation. How would you ideally like to see change or even interventions, that are put in place by companies, by organizations in order to accommodate you? What is your feel and sentiment every time you go into an interview, every time you get feedback? If you could honestly say one thing to them to say, well, if you did this or if you considered this, then my joining your organization or my being employed with you wouldn't be an issue.
Thank you very much for that question. It really hurts that every time when the speech is being made by our president, not even one person with disability has been included or involved. When they speak, they would always say that every company has to have 7% of persons living with disabilities. But when you check that, not even that 7% has been completed. And what Lana mentioned is that we are rounding in circles by doing one learnership to the other. And again, each and every learnership has age restrictions. And you might find that my age already is not even allowing me to do learnership. So I would like that they should consider us not only at the physical appearance, but to always consider the ability that the person can do and the benefits that that person can bring inside a company. Because you might find that a person without a disability is unable to create a website or a software or even operate a computer. And then you find a person living with a disability is able to do all those things, and yet we are not being considered.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lungi, I appreciate the time with you. I know that you're in transit at the moment, hence the background noise. That was Ulungi and Lana from Africa to Kun. That's how we wrap up the show today. How quickly time has flown. We'll see you tomorrow for more conversations here on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. Ashraf is coming through between 3 and 6. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Thank you, Bridget, and the team on the top stories. NEDLAC assures accountability on money spent on the National Convention, and the Operation Dudula members storm the Lilian Ngoyi Clinic. For SAFM News, I am Ondlambana, and a very good afternoon. There will be a thorough accounting of monies spent in hosting the National Convention in Pretoria this weekend. This is the assurance given by Director at NEDLAC, Makuku Mampuru. NEDLAC is working within the Secretariat of the Preparatory Task Team, which is organizing the launch of the National Dialogue scheduled to sit on the 15th and 16th